Dream a little further. What if your biggest dream is only the beginning? By David Russo. What if the life you dream about today is only the closest possibility you can currently imagine? We often create dreams from where we are standing now. More money, greater freedom, meaningful work, love, adventure, peace, creativity, or a completely different way of living. But once we picture something we want, we often stop there. We turn that vision into the finish line. What if you went one step beyond it? What if instead of asking only, "What do I want?" you asked, "And if that became normal, what might become possible next?" Perhaps dreaming a little further is not about being dissatisfied with what you have. Perhaps it is about refusing to let your present circumstances determine the boundaries of your imagination. Introduction. Beyond the first dream. Most dreams begin in the world we already know. Someone struggling financially may dream of having enough money to feel secure. Someone working in an unfulfilling career may dream of doing something meaningful. Someone who feels trapped may dream of freedom. Someone who feels alone may dream of companionship. There is nothing wrong with these dreams. They can give us direction, energy, and hope. But because they are often created in response to our present circumstances, they may represent only the first step beyond where we currently stand. Imagine for a moment that the dream you are pursuing has already happened. The money is there, the opportunity arrived, the relationship exists, the project succeeded, the freedom became real. After the excitement settles and this new reality becomes part of everyday life, what would you dream about then? That question opens the door to this audiobook. Instead of treating today's dream as the edge of possibility, we are going to look beyond it. Perhaps there are dreams behind your dreams, possibilities beyond your current imagination, and versions of your life that you cannot completely see until you allow yourself to dream a little further. Chapter 1. The edge of your current imagination. We tend to think imagination is unlimited, but even imagination can be influenced by experience. We imagine futures using the materials available to us, what we have seen, what we have heard about, what other people around us have accomplished, and what we have previously experienced ourselves. A person who has never traveled may imagine a vacation somewhere familiar before imagining a year spent exploring the world. Someone who has always worked for other people may dream of a better job before imagining building something entirely of their own. Our imagination can stretch far beyond our circumstances, but it often begins with them. This means there may be possibilities for your life that you have never rejected because you have never even considered them. They exist outside the current boundary of your thinking. You may not know about the people you could meet, the skills you could develop, the places you could go, the work you could create, or the opportunities that could become available after several years of growth. We cannot imagine every possible future because we do not yet possess all the information that our future selves may possess. So perhaps the first question is not simply, "What is my dream?" A more revealing question might be, "How did I decide where my dream should end?" Maybe the number you chose, the lifestyle you imagined, the career you pictured, or the goal you established is not the maximum possibility. Maybe it is simply the furthest point your imagination traveled before it stopped. And if that is true, perhaps the edge of your imagination can move. Chapter 2. Why we make the dream the finish line. There is something psychologically satisfying about a finish line. It gives uncertainty a destination. We can tell ourselves that when we reach a particular goal, something inside us will finally settle. When we have enough money, find the right relationship, reach the desired career, finish the project, buy the home, build the business, or achieve recognition, we imagine arriving at a place called success. The dream becomes more than something we want. It becomes the point at which we expect life to finally feel complete. But life rarely behaves like that. A person can spend years wanting something and then discover that after receiving it, the extraordinary gradually becomes ordinary. The new home becomes a place where you wake up every morning. The promotion becomes your job. The accomplishment becomes part of your history. The relationship becomes part of everyday life. This does not make those things less valuable. It simply reveals something important about human experience. We adapt. What if reaching the dream is not crossing the final finish line but arriving at another starting point? The experience may give you confidence, resources, knowledge, relationships, or perspectives you did not possess before. From there, you may see possibilities that were invisible from your previous position. Instead of asking whether you have finally arrived, you might begin asking a more interesting question. What can I see from here? Chapter 3. Imagine the dream becoming normal. Think about something you once wanted badly that you eventually received. Perhaps it was your first car, a certain amount of money, a job, a home, a relationship, a piece of technology, an opportunity, or an accomplishment. Before you had it, you may have imagined it repeatedly. It seemed significant because there was a psychological distance between you and it. Then something changed. You obtained it, experienced it, and eventually incorporated it into your life. Once something becomes part of everyday experience, our relationship with it changes. What once seemed far away can begin to feel natural. You stop thinking of yourself as someone trying to get it and begin thinking from the position of someone who already has it. This can happen so gradually that we forget how extraordinary the same thing once appeared from the outside. Yesterday's dream quietly becomes today's normal. Now apply that idea to something you currently want. Instead of imagining it forever sitting somewhere in the distance, imagine it integrated into your life. What would an ordinary Tuesday look like after the dream happened? How would you think about it 6 months later? What would become important to you then? This exercise can change the emotional relationship between you and the goal, rather than always looking upward towards something that feels distant. You begin imagining yourself living alongside it. Hello, this is David Russo. I've heard it said before, dream big. But how big is big? Dream big, and then bigger, and then biggest. I've thought about how we can dream about something becoming a reality. And let's say it does. Then what do? We dream further. Maybe there doesn't have to be an end to how far we allow ourselves to dream. Chapter 4. Now dream one step beyond it. Choose one dream and mentally move past the moment of achieving it. Do not spend all your imagination on the celebration, announcement, purchase, arrival, or accomplishment. Imagine that part has already happened. Months have passed. The dream is no longer new. It is simply part of your life. Now look around from that imaginary future and ask yourself, what would you want to do next? The answer may surprise you because the next dream might not simply be a larger version of the first. Someone who dreams of financial security may discover that beyond security, they want creative freedom. Someone dreaming about career success may realize that beyond achievement, they want time. Someone dreaming of a relationship may realize they ultimately want a life filled with connection, adventure, family, growth, or shared purpose. The next dream can reveal what the first dream was really trying to give you. You do not have to immediately pursue everything you imagine. This is not about creating an endless list of goals. It is about expanding your awareness. By mentally stepping beyond today's objective, you can begin seeing your current dream as part of a larger journey. Sometimes the greatest value of dreaming further is discovering that what you thought was the destination was actually a doorway. Chapter 5. Stop asking what seems realistic. Reality matters when it is time to make decisions. Bills have to be paid. Time is limited. Actions have consequences. Plans need practical steps. But there is a difference between using reality to determine your next action and using your present reality to determine the limits of your imagination. The first is practical. The second can quietly make your future resemble your past. People often reduce dreams before they ever attempt them. They think about their age, income, education, responsibilities, previous failures, current job, available connections, or what people around them might say. Before imagination has a chance to explore, practicality enters the room and begins negotiating the dream downward. Eventually, what remains may be achievable, but it may no longer be particularly inspiring. Perhaps dreaming and planning should temporarily be separated. When you dream, allow yourself to ask what you would genuinely love to experience if you were not required to explain how it would happen. Then return to the present and ask what one reasonable action could move you in that direction. You do not need a realistic explanation for the entire journey before taking the first step. Sometimes the path becomes visible because you started walking. Chapter 6. Your future self can see further. Imagine meeting yourself 5 or 10 years from now after experiencing years of learning, mistakes, relationships, opportunities, successes, disappointments, and unexpected turns. That future version of you may understand things you cannot currently understand because you have not yet lived through the experiences that created that understanding. The future you may have skills you do not possess, know people you have never met, and recognize possibilities you cannot currently see. This is one reason a dream that seems enormous today might look different later. You are evaluating it using today's abilities and today's circumstances. But the person who eventually reaches the dream may not be exactly the person evaluating it now. The journey itself can change you. Every new skill, conversation, challenge, decision, and experience can expand your capacity to handle possibilities that once seemed intimidating. So when you dream further, do not imagine your future only with your current resources. Imagine growth itself as one of the resources. The version of you standing several miles down the road may be capable of seeing another road entirely. You do not need to know exactly what the person will want. You simply need to leave enough room in your imagination for that person to exist. Chapter 7. Dreaming without desperation. There is an important difference between expansion and dissatisfaction. Dreaming further does not mean constantly telling yourself that what you have is insufficient. If every achievement immediately becomes evidence that you need something bigger, dreaming can turn it into endless chasing. There will always be another number, another possession, another accomplishment, another destination, or another level. A healthier form of dreaming can begin with appreciation. You can enjoy what exists while remaining curious about what could exist. You can love the life you have while imagining another experience you would enjoy creating. Desire does not always have to come from lack. Sometimes it can come from creativity. An artist can appreciate one finished painting and still want to paint another. The next creation does not invalidate the one that came before it. Perhaps this is one of the most freeing ways to dream. I don't need this possibility in order to become whole, but I would love to see where it leads. That removes some of the desperation surrounding the outcome. The dream becomes an invitation rather than a demand. You can move toward it with energy while still allowing yourself to live now. Chapter 8. The Dreams Behind the Dream. Sometimes the thing we say we want is actually a symbol for something deeper. Someone may say they want $1,000,000, but what they really imagine is freedom from financial worry. Someone may dream of becoming famous, but actually desire recognition, significance, or the feeling that their work matters. Someone may dream of a particular relationship because underneath that image is a longing for compassion, intimacy, belonging, or shared experience. Understanding the dream behind the dream can dramatically expand possibility. If freedom is the real desire, there may be many ways to create more freedom. If contribution is the deeper goal, there may be paths to meaningful impact that do not require fame. If adventure is what you truly want, perhaps the specific object you have associated with adventure is only one possible vehicle for experiencing it. Ask yourself what you believe your dream will allow you to feel, do, or become. Then go one level deeper and ask what else might create that experience. You may discover that your dream was never too large. In some ways, it may have been too narrow. When you understand what lies beneath it, the future can suddenly contain many more roads. Chapter 9. When a bigger dream changes today's decisions. A dream becomes especially powerful when it changes something you do today. Imagination can reveal direction, but action creates movement. The action does not always have to be dramatic. Sometimes a larger future begins influencing very small decisions. Reading something, learning a skill, making a call, recording an idea, creating something, saving money, changing a habit, meeting someone, or saying yes to an opportunity you might previously have ignored. A larger vision can also change what you notice. When you begin thinking seriously about a direction, information connected with that direction may suddenly seem more relevant. Conversations take on new meaning. Opportunities that you previously overlooked become interesting. This does not necessarily mean the opportunities magically appeared. Some may have existed before, but your attention was not organized around recognizing them. The dream and the action can therefore influence each other. The dream suggests a direction. Action gives you new experience. New experience expands what you can imagine. That expanded imagination creates new directions, which produce new actions. What began as a thought can become an ongoing relationship between imagination and reality. Chapter 10. Leaving room for what you haven't imagined. There is a strange contradiction in dreaming about the future. We are attempting to imagine a life that will be influenced by information we do not yet possess. We cannot know every person we will meet, every opportunity that will appear, every technology that will emerge, every idea we will encounter, or every unexpected event that may change our direction. Even the most detailed future vision is being created with incomplete information. That is why there can be value in leaving some blank spaces in the picture. You can know the direction without controlling every detail. You can desire freedom without deciding exactly how freedom must arrive. You can pursue meaningful work while remaining open to a form of work you have never heard of. You can imagine love without scripting every detail of the person or circumstance through which it enters your life. Some possibilities may be better than anything you can currently imagine because you do not yet have the experiences required to imagine them. Dreaming further therefore includes something that sounds almost contradictory. Dreaming beyond the dream while remaining open to being surprised. The future does not have to perfectly match your imagination to become extraordinary. Chapter 11. What could your life become? Individual goals are useful, but eventually a larger question appears. What kind of life are all these goals trying to create? Instead of thinking only about what you want to own or accomplish, imagine the texture of your days. What would you enjoy doing when you wake up? What kind of people would surround you? What would you spend your time learning, creating, exploring, teaching, building, or experiencing? This shifts dreaming from accumulation toward design. A life can look successful from the outside while feeling completely wrong to the person living it. Conversely, a life that does not match conventional definitions of success may feel extraordinarily rich to the person experiencing it. Dreaming further means becoming curious not only about how much you could achieve, but about how deeply you could live. Perhaps the biggest dream is not a single accomplishment at all. Perhaps it is becoming increasingly capable of creating a life that feels aligned with who you are becoming. Careers can change, goals can change, relationships can change, interests can change. You can change. A meaningful vision of the future should have enough space to change with you. And perhaps dreaming further can eventually take us beyond the things we normally dream about. We might begin by dreaming of more money, greater freedom, meaningful work, love, adventure, or a different way of living. But if those dreams became reality, perhaps another kind of dream could emerge. What if you dreamed about becoming more peaceful, more loving, more aware, more connected, or even spiritually complete? Whatever spiritually complete might mean to you, perhaps the furthest dream is not ultimately about what you can have. Perhaps it is about what you can become. Chapter 12. Dream a little further. Think again about something you currently want. See it clearly. Imagine the moment when you realize it has happened. Then continue the story. Imagine 6 months passing. Imagine a year. Let the dream become ordinary enough that you no longer stand beneath it looking upward. It is simply part of your world now. Then ask the question at the center of this entire journey. What happens next? You do not need an immediate answer. Perhaps another dream appears. Perhaps the original dream changes. Perhaps you discover that what you truly wanted was something underneath it. Or perhaps looking beyond the goal makes you appreciate the journey toward it even more. The purpose is not to constantly manufacture bigger desires. It is to make sure you have not unconsciously placed a ceiling over your own imagination. Dream a little further than the place where you normally stop. Then perhaps a little further again, not because you must achieve everything you can imagine, but because imagination gives you somewhere new to look. The future may contain opportunities, relationships, experiences, contributions, and versions of yourself that today's mind cannot completely predict. Your responsibility is not to know the entire road. Maybe it is simply to avoid deciding too early where the road must end. Conclusion: beyond the horizon. Perhaps dreams are less like destinations and more like horizons. From a distance, the horizon appears to mark the place where everything ends. But as you move toward it, the landscape continues. New territory becomes visible. The same may be true of your life. Something that appears to be the ultimate dream from where you stand today may become one chapter in a much larger story once you arrive there. There is no requirement to endlessly chase the next achievement. Dreaming further can exist alongside gratitude, peace, and appreciation for what is already here. You can look around and say, I am grateful for this, while also looking toward the distance and wondering what else might be possible. Those two thoughts do not have to compete. Perhaps one allows you to enjoy your life while the other keeps you open to its continued expansion. So take one dream you have right now and imagine that it has already become part of your life. Let yourself experience that possibility for a moment, then look beyond it. Don't worry about whether the next possibility seems too large, too distant, or too difficult to explain. You are not making a promise that you must achieve it. You are simply allowing yourself to see it. because sometimes the future begins to expand the moment you stop asking where the dream ends and give yourself permission to dream a little further.